Now I introduce you all to our keynote speaker, Professor Dr. S.D. Purohit. Sir, your academic potential are not easy to summarize in short, as you have achieved your doctorate in botany from University of Jodhpur. Also, you got many awards from different countries like International Excellence Award, Boston, USA. You have been authored nearly 31 books and journals as well as 127 research papers. You have achieved higher position in various universities like that, professor and former head Department of Botany, former course director Department of Biotechnology, Dean and Chairman Faculty of Sciences, former member Board Management in Board of Secondary Education, Ajmer, Rajasthan, General Secretary, Society of Promotion of Science Education and Research, Udaipur, Rajasthan. Your dedication towards work led you for Chairman, Board of Directors, Phytoessence Consortium, USA. You also served as Regional Editor-in-Chief, Asia Pacific, Indian Journal, Boston, USA. During your work, you have visited many foreign countries. Sir, today we have honor to have you with us. Sir, I request please come on the dais and address the gathering.
Good morning, all present here. Respected Professor K.L. Srivastav, Vice Chancellor, Jainan Vyas University, Jodhpur. It is my personal honor to have him as a chief guest with me because I have been the old student of Jainan Vyas University. I did my BSc, MSc and PhD from there. So I am very happy, sir, to have you here with me on this very important occasion. I am equally honored to have my friend, who is the Vice Chancellor of this university, Professor Dr. M.M. Saxena, whom we know each other for last more than 50 years. I am very much thankful to this university, which I am visiting for the second time perhaps. And I am thankful to Dr. Pankaj Sharma for inviting me to share some of my experiences in research methodology here. Thankful to Dr. Godara, the organizing secretary Ritu, and all the honorable guests present here, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to have a brief conversation on the importance of research, how to conceive the idea of research. We all know that every research student who joins for the PhD would ask supervisor to suggest a topic for research. And normally it is the customary that a student will be given a topic for which she or he will search the literature, make a synopsis and then start working on that. My idea of talking on this particular topic is little different than that. I would like the students to have their own ideas, how to conceptualize research, how to proceed forward, and what kind of aptitude you need to have to be a successful researcher. That is the focus of my lecture today. So I'll be talking on two different aspects. One, how to conceptualize a research idea, and then what kind of aptitude you need to have. Now, every one of us are into education. And we know that education is a very important aspect of in modern day life. If we talk about education in general, what is the purpose of education, then I am reminded of a very short story that somebody asked that what is education, what is the purpose of education. So I want to narrate a very small story before you. There was a father in a church, and he was writing a sermon to be delivered in a church that day, on a particular Sunday. When he was writing the sermon, a small toddler, 4 years old person, he was disturbing while he was writing the sermon. The father of the church thought that he must be engaged somewhere because child was disturbing him. So he gave a large map of the world to the child in a torn state, that beta, you join all these pieces together and make the world. To his surprise, the toddler came back within 2 minutes and joined the map. The father asked surprisingly, how you did it? Because it is the world map and I had torn to different pieces. He said it was very simple. So what you did? On the back of the map, there was a man. So I made a man, so the world was made automatically. So he turned his sermon and he wrote a new sermon that you make a man, world will be made automatically, and that is the purpose of education in real fact. So all educational institutions are responsible for making a better human being. Now when it comes to higher education, our responsibility, our focus will change. Not only that we are making better human beings, but we are responsible for creation of new knowledge. So the role of universities and colleges is not only making a better human being, but we have to do teaching and research also. And why we do research? Because we have to create new knowledge. If you are not able to create new knowledge, then you are not serving the purpose of the university. So every university is under obligation to the society that we are creating new knowledge through research. And you all people who are sitting over here who are brilliant researchers have the responsibility of creation of new knowledge. Not doing any repetitive research, but you have to ensure that you are creating new knowledge. Now when we think about research, we are basically trying to know what is not known. Sometimes jokingly people say that research means which is already searched, you are trying to research. That is not. Yes, but there is one very important thing, that things are existing, but you have to discover them. For example, apple was falling anyway down. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि एप्पल पहले नीचे नहीं गिरता था, but it occurred to Isaac Newton only that why apple is going down. And then he started thinking and he sought answers and he found out the principles of the law of gravitation. So knowing what is not known is very important, and there are two possibilities or the two possible outcome of your research. Either you end up with discovery or you end up with invention. And you might be aware that discovery and inventions are two different things. Discovery is all about what is already existing and you are trying to find out. And invention is a new creation. For example, if you are creating a LED bulb, or you are creating a computer, you are creating a mic, you are creating a camera. They are all inventions. But if you are discovering certain things which are already existing, then it is a discovery. So now when you try to have good quality of research, then what you need to have is need for thinking and asking questions. If you have no question in your mind, you will not have any effort in answering that. So the question is most important. For research, the central point is the question that you have, and that question must be different from others have thought about. So out-of-box thinking is very, very critical for a successful researcher. If you are thinking in a different way, you are thinking something different than what people are thinking, then we can say that you are thinking out of box. Now sometimes people ask you why you do research, what you are going to get out of that. So research will teach you the methods of discovery. That means you will learn the methodology, how to go about discovering certain things. You will get to know the methodology. The analytical skills, thoughtfulness, then judgment, argument, and to develop inquiry-based techniques. These are some of the important traits. While in the process of research, you will be able to learn all of them. Now, research can be of two different types. A research can be empirical research, which is experimental study, which is to be conducted, especially in main science subjects, where you have to verify your hypothesis by experimentation. So, you have to prove your hypothesis by doing certain experiments. But in art subjects or literary subjects, you have the analytical research, where you have theoretical interpretations only, where you are not supposed to have any experiments in the laboratory. Now, every student joining research for PhD is faced with a question: how to choose a research topic? And in the beginning I told you that normally it happens that you go to your supervisor and ask on which topic I want to work, and supervisor will allot a topic and you start working on that. But if you are a good researcher, you will have your own thought process, and you will start thinking that what kind of research I want to do. So there may be interest-based research, that you have a question in your mind, there is a pre-existing idea that you have observed certain thing in society around you, or through literature or somewhere else, and you think that I want to answer this question. But normally 90% of the students try to scan through the available literature in the subject area. And after searching the literature, he or she will identify the gap areas, that what are the questions which have not been answered by my previous workers. So in normal cases, thorough literature search is a very important aspect of a good researcher. If you have made a thorough survey of literature, you will be able to identify that there are certain questions which need to be answered. And if you pursue your research to answer those questions, then you will have significant research outcome. So where to start? Read, read, and read. This is the key word. So you have to continuously go through the available literature in the area in which you want to pursue your research. Unless you read, you will not have any new ideas. Then detailed literature search, either through going to libraries, reading journals, books, references, databases, internet, and all other resources, and you have to read them. Attend seminars, conferences, and presentations, because they will also give you certain ideas for research. You have to discuss subject areas with peers, your seniors, and the most important is the last one, that you have to ask questions. You ask question to yourself, you ask question to your friend, you ask question to your teachers, you ask question to anybody whom you know who is knowledgeable, so that you are able to answer those questions through the research that you want to pursue. Now, every researcher has to go through review of literature. And I suppose that the university may be asking for the review of literature presentation, right? Yeah. So every student has to make a presentation of review of literature. Now, when you do review of literature, you must consider that what kind of literature you are searching and what kind of literature you are reading about. There are three types of resources which are available to you. You have primary sources, you have secondary sources, and you have tertiary sources. Now, primary sources are those research papers which are original research papers which were published by the scientists or the researchers in the area in which you are pursuing your PhD. Now, they are the backbone of your research. If you are not consulting primary resources or the primary sources or the primary research articles which have been published, you are not doing a good review of literature. Because the primary research articles provide you detailed information about the methodology which has been used, what kind of hypothesis was there. In secondary sources, which are normally review articles, and review articles, you all know that review articles are the articles which present the consolidated account of the research of last 5, 6, 10 years. And they will not describe any methodology. And any new researcher will require a detailed methodology how to repeat the experiment conducted by the other scientists. So it is very important that you go for primary literature first, then you go to secondary literature, and normally a researcher will avoid tertiary sources, because tertiary sources are the textbooks or the reference books which are based on available information on a particular topic for last 10, 15 years. So I would suggest that all the research scholars who are doing their review of literature work must go through primary sources first, and if necessary for the secondary sources. The more one knows about a particular field, the more is one able to detect gaps in it and to recognize problem area that require investigation. That means you have to continuously read about your topic, the subject in which you are doing research. So if you are reading and reading and reading, then you will identify that these are the areas where I can start working. Where are the gaps in the literature? The possibilities can be by topic. That means the topic which you are choosing, you have to see that what has not been looked into. That means when you are choosing a topic, it should not be the topic which has already been investigated by somebody else. So you have to see that when I am choosing a topic for research, it should not have been done by anybody else before. The method which I am going to use must not be a repetitive method. That means the methodology may be different while you are conceptualizing the idea, or sometime you can have a comparative study. Somebody has done a study on a particular topic, you are comparing with the study which you want to carry out. So you can think about choosing a topic based on these criteria. Then when you are joining research, you have to ask many questions to yourself. Is this a good idea on which you want to pursue research? Has it been done previously? This is the most important and of paramount importance. कहीं ऐसा नहीं हो कि जिस टॉपिक पे आप काम कर रहे हैं उस टॉपिक पे पहले से ही किसी ने काम रखा हो, then it will be a serious problem for you at a later stage. Can it be addressed using appropriate research methods? That means the methods that you are going to apply, they are really going to help you in solving the problem which you have identified. Will it stimulate interest by others and sponsors? यानी आपका जो रिसर्च है उसमें किसी का इंटरेस्ट होगा, एंड स्पेशली मैं स्पॉन्सर की बात यहाँ पे कर रहा हूँ जहाँ पे फंडेड रिसर्च की जाती है. व्हेन यू वांट टू आस्क सम फंड फॉर डूइंग रिसर्च, then sponsors must be convinced that the kind of research you want to carry out is of convincing nature, and it will have a significant impact either on the society or in general for the industry. So you have to ensure that your research must be able to stimulate interest. Is it feasible, practical, and doable? Many times it happens that you identify a research topic which is so ambitious that you are not able to achieve the target. And after 2-3 years spending on doing research, you really realize that, sorry, I am not able to do this because I have made a very ambitious plan. So please try to be concise, very brief, and understand that whatever you are choosing a topic should be feasible topic, it should be practically possible for you to do, and it must be doable. And the last one is that, is it fundable? Means if you are doing some funded research, definitely you are looking for some money to be spent on the project that you want to pursue. And if it is fundable, that means you have the worth of the kind of research that you want to do. Judge whether time, effort and expense for tackling a particular problem are justified. यानी जितना आप समय खराब कर रहे हैं, जितना आप एनर्जी दे रहे हैं, जितना आप पैसा लगा रहे हैं, क्या ये वास्तव में वर्दी है कि नहीं है? कहीं ऐसा नहीं हो कि आप सारी मेहनत कर रहे हैं and at the end of the day you find out that it is not going to be a significant research which I want to do. Is your topic worth pursuing research? You can make your own judgment. Through knowledge of the subject area is of paramount importance in selecting a research topic, and think, does it make a significant contribution to the existing knowledge in the chosen field of research? मैंने शुरू से आपसे कहा कि आपकी रिसर्च नया कुछ करने की स्थिति में होना चाहिए, creation of new knowledge. So if you want to create new knowledge, that means your data, your research must be of significance in your area of research. So you have to think before starting doing your PhD. Be ready to answer the question that an expert will always ask you. Was there a problem to be investigated? कई बार ऐसा होता है कि आपकी PhD थीसिस पूरी हो जाती है और जब आपका वाइवा होता है तो आपसे पूछते हैं आपने इस पे काम क्यों किया? क्या आपकी थीसिस का टॉपिक जो था, आपका जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन था, वो क्या वास्तव में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था? और अगर वो इंपॉर्टेंट था तो क्या आप उस प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व कर पाए जिसके लिए आपने ये PhD की? So these two questions must be answered right before you take up the topic for your research, so that at the end of the day when you are asked this question कि क्या आपका ये टॉपिक सिग्निफिकेंट था, और अगर ये सिग्निफिकेंट था तो आपने उसका आंसर ढूंढा कि नहीं ढूंढा. When you are writing your synopsis, when you are writing your proposal, make it very simple. Don't make it very complex, very elaborative, very ambitious, unachievable. Keep them simple. And the simple is made very simple here. S is for specific. You must be very specific about the kind of research that you want to do. Why do this project now? What is immediate importance? You know that recently for last 2 years we had a COVID. And COVID became so relevant for research. So most of the people around the world started working on different aspects of COVID. That was of immediate importance. So sometimes there are certain topics which are the topics of current demand. So you have to think that why it is necessary now. Then is it measurable? That means your research must be able to generate certain data. If you are not contributing any data through the research, then your thesis may not be of any importance. Because in a PhD thesis, there are two very important components. One is qualitative and other is quantitative data. So in both terms, in qualitative terms and in quantitative terms, your thesis must fulfill the requirement. Then it should be practical, realistic and feasible. Then logical, it should be based on certain achievable goals. And it should be significant and how to make impact of your research. That means it should be evaluable. So you have to make your problem very simple. But never mind that how small is your problem. Because you cannot do a big research during your PhD. You may be contributing a very small advancement of the knowledge in your PhD thesis. So every study is only one piece of the puzzle. Even a small question is important. So never be discouraged that you have selected a topic which is just going to contribute in a very small way. No problem. But it should be novel, it should be innovative, it should be new, And even if you are able to contribute in a very small way, it will be a big contribution from you. So I am quoting here Stimson, where he says, in the broad sense, there is no such thing as a trivial fact. कोई चीज छोटी नहीं होती है. A chain is no stronger than its weakest link, and all facts fit somewhere into great scheme of the things. आपकी छोटी से छोटी चीज जो है एक किसी स्ट्रॉन्ग चेन की कड़ी बन सकती है. An apparently unimportant fact may turn out to be important in the hands of a scholar or a scientist. अगर आप एक अच्छे स्कॉलर हैं तो एक छोटी सी छोटी प्रॉब्लम को आप बहुत बड़ी बना सकते हैं और उसको उसकी सिग्निफिकेंस जो है आप तय कर सकते हैं. So when you select a topic of research, you have to think, is there adequate supervision? यानी जिस सुपरवाइजर के साथ आप काम करना चाहते हैं, he is competent enough to guide you. Does the topic really of interest to you? कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं है कि आप जिस टॉपिक पे काम करना चाहते हैं उसमें आपका कोई दिलचस्पी नहीं है, आपकी कोई रुचि नहीं है. Can the topic be completed in required time? यानी आपको 3 साल में, 2 साल में, 4 साल में जितने समय में काम करना है, क्या ऐसा तो नहीं है उतने पीरियड में आपका काम पूरा नहीं होगा? Is the necessary equipment or infrastructure available, particularly विज्ञान विषयों में जहाँ पे इक्विपमेंट, एक्सपेरिमेंट्स की जरूरत होती है, वैसी सुविधा आपके पास है? Are library facilities sufficient? Is the study feasible or objectives achievable? And is the problem significant one? So these are some of the questions that every research scholar has to think before joining research. So these are some of the key elements for consideration. Statement of hypothesis. When you are writing your synopsis, these are the important components that you have to incorporate. Statement of hypothesis, then statement of assumption, statement of limitation of the study. यानी आप जो परिकल्पना कर रहे हैं, जो हाइपोथेसिस दे रहे हैं, आप जिन चीजों को एज्यूम कर रहे हैं, उसमें कहाँ कहाँ आपको समस्या आ सकती है, इसका स्टेटमेंट भी आपको देना पड़ता है. That to this extent you will be able to contribute, but beyond this you have no possibility of doing it. You have certain limitations. Then definition of the terms. When you are using some technical terms, then you have to give definition. What are those terms so that a common person or an expert is able to understand that what you are writing in your synopsis. Then appropriateness of the research design. जो आप experiment design करते हैं, उस experiment की design की पूरी detail देंगे. Description of the population and samples, particularly in other subjects other than science. People are talking about population studies and they are having certain people to have questionnaire, they have answers of the questions and all that. So you have to describe which population and what sample size you are going to use. Then how will you control the error? Because error is an integral part of every experiment or every exercise that you do. So how will you control it? And then reliability and validity. So what kind of statistics you are going to use so that you can validate your data before you present it for any research paper publication or anywhere else. Normally, a research proposal has certain deficiencies which you need to identify. For example, too ambitious, too much work proposed. कई बार हम ओवर एंथुजियास्टिक होकर के बहुत बड़ा टॉल क्लेम कर लेते हैं कि मैं ये कर दूंगा, मैं ये कर दूंगा, मैं ये भी कर लूंगा, मैं ये भी कर लूंगा. And in reality, you do not know that they are not achievable. So don't make your proposal too ambitious. Unfocused aims and unclear goals. You don't know what you want to do because you are not having any clarity on the subject which you are choosing. Limited aims and uncertain future directions. आपने कुछ ऐसा टॉपिक चुन लिया जिसका कोई फायदा नहीं है और आगे जाकर के उसका क्या होगा, there is no connection with that. So don't go for that. Neither significant nor exciting for new research. कहीं ऐसा टॉपिक तो नहीं है जिसकी कोई सिग्निफिकेंस नहीं है. Lack of compelling rationale. कोई औचित्य नहीं है. आप क्यों करना चाहते हैं इसके ऊपर? You have no answer to that question. Because every time you are going to face experts, they will ask you, why did you select this topic? What is the importance of the topic that you have selected? Why you pursued research on this particular topic? And if you have no answer to that question, then there will be a big disappointment. Then incremental and low impact research. कहीं ऐसा नहीं है कि आप जो काम कर रहे हैं वो 50 सालों में जाकर के उसका कुछ इम्पैक्ट होगा, तब तक उसकी रेलेवेंस खत्म हो जाएगी. सो डोंट सेलेक्ट दैट काइंड ऑफ टॉपिक विच हैज वेरी लो इम्पैक्ट एट दिस मोमेंट. And this is because of the deficiencies which we identified, many research proposals are rejected. The synopsis, when they are presented before the panel of experts, they reject your topics, they reject your contents, they reject your work plan, they reject the outline of the research work done, because the outcomes are nebulous, they are unclear. आपको नहीं पता है कि इसका परिणाम क्या होगा जो मैं रिसर्च कर रहा हूँ. ऑब्जेक्टिव्स आर ग्लोबल पर्पसेस. आप पूरी दुनिया की बात करना चाहते हैं, टॉपिक छोटा सा है, बट यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द होल वर्ल्ड. You are not specific, your research is not measurable, and it is not achievable. The realism of some objective is questionable, confusing, non-specific, non-measurable objectives, and objectives are sometimes stated as activities. Most of these synopses that we examine, they describe activities in the objectives. And you must identify the difference between what are the objectives and what are the activities, because activities are different. Activities are those things which you would like to do to achieve objectives. So objectives must be very crisp, they should be very brief, and they should highlight the overall objective of the research. And activities are those things which you will be doing after selecting the research topic. I give you some examples so that you get to know that what are the bad topics and what are good topics. For example, a common problem is that the ambitious project is presented. Best examples of bad selection of topic for a PhD thesis. आप ये देखिए नीचे एक टॉपिक है, pollution studies on freshwater lakes of North India. Now here what you see, pollution studies, that means pollutions are of different types. Pollution can be air pollution, water pollution, noise pollution, soil pollution, and many more. Then you are talking about freshwater lakes. So how many freshwater lakes in the North India? So you are not knowing that what you are going to do, because it will never be possible. You can take few generations to carry out this kind of study. Next is you can see, and I tell you that these topics are the real topics which were submitted by students for some universities. ये वो मैंने एग्जाम्पल क्रिएट नहीं किया, ये वो एग्जाम्पल्स हैं जहाँ पे मैंने सिनॉप्सिस एग्जामिन किए और वहाँ पे टॉपिक्स ये थे, वो मैं यहाँ पे आपके सामने रख रहा हूँ. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, स्टडीज ऑन डीएनए फिंगरप्रिंटिंग इन द लॉइंस ऑफ इंडिया. भारत के शेरों के डीएनए का फिंगरप्रिंटिंग करना. नाउ हाउ विल यू डू इट? हाउ मेनी लाइन्स? How to collect DNA, how to do DNA fingerprinting, so much of ambitious. Then studies on the growth and yield of glycine max and Vicia faba with fly ash and cow dung amended soil from tribal areas of Rajasthan. Now so many components involved. Studies on growth and yield, glycine max, soybean, and Vicia faba with fly ash, cow dung. Cow dung is highly undefined material. Cow dung collected from Ganganagar, cow dung collected from Bikaner, cow dung collected from Jodhpur will have total difference, because what cow eats will have the kind of dung. Then tribal areas of Rajasthan, how many tribal areas you have? So it is highly undefined, very vague statement of the problem. Now here there are another examples, studies on the diseases affecting wheat and their control. गेहूं में बीमारियां और उनका नियंत्रण. अब गेहूं में कितनी बीमारियां होगी, फंगस की बीमारी होगी, बैक्टीरिया की होगी, वायरसेस की होगी, माइकोप्लाज्मा, फाइटोप्लाज्मा, nematodes, and so on, so and they are controlled, so there will be a lot of work to be done. Studies on the host parasite interaction and control of disease of wheat, again a vague topic. Now the best example here is studies on the chemical control of wheat rust in Rajasthan. So if you have a problem of wheat rust in Rajasthan, if you want to have a control using certain chemicals, then this can be a very specified and very proper designed topic. When you join your PhD research, and when you are facing the interviews, you are asked these questions: why you want to do PhD? Why did you join PhD? या तो आप ज्वाइन कर चुके हैं तब आपसे ये प्रश्न पूछा जाएगा, और या आप ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं उससे पहले पूछा जाएगा. And there are some silly answers. Because I have passed NET or RET. क्या आप PhD इसलिए कर रहे हैं कि मैंने NET पास कर लिया? तो क्या कर लिया? तो क्या हो गया? Then I want to get an advanced degree. I have nothing to do other than this after my post graduation. मेरे पास करने के लिए कुछ ही नहीं है, इसलिए PhD कर रहा हूँ. I have to get promotion in my job. मुझे promotion चाहिए. Because it is basic requirement for the job that I am seeking. क्योंकि ये जॉब के लिए डिग्री जरूरी है, इसलिए कर रहा हूँ, बाकी मेरा क्या इंटरेस्ट है इसके अंदर करने में. Then I want to improve my social status. मैं ड्राइंग रूम में एक डिग्री लटकाना चाहता हूँ. I want to see a prefix doctor before my name. मेरे नाम के आगे डॉक्टर लगना चाहिए, इसलिए मैं PhD कर रहा हूँ. This will improve my matrimonial prospects. लड़कियां सोचती हैं PhD कर लेंगे तो लड़का अच्छा मिल जाएगा. But the most relevant answer is I want to pursue my career in research. Because PhD degree is the license to do research. PhD degree is not to get you a Nobel Prize by doing something. It is a license. So if you do your PhD in a proper way, you will be able to have a better future in your research career. So if you are answering this question in this way, I want to pursue my PhD for making a research career, then this is the most appropriate answer. PhD is not a mere degree, please think. It is a license for doing independent research. इसके बाद आप खुद स्वतंत्र रूप से रिसर्च कर सकते हैं, उसके बाद आपको किसी सुपरवाइजर की जरूरत नहीं पड़नी चाहिए. Then only your PhD is good. A PhD degree may not make you a successful researcher. ये ध्यान रखिएगा. If you have only degree, you are not a researcher. But if you are a researcher, you can have a degree. So try to be a researcher and then have a degree. Passing NET or RET is not enough for doing research. कि NET पास कर लिया इसलिए हमें PhD करनी है, then no. रिसर्च के एप्टीट्यूड के लिए आपको रिसर्च के बारे में रिसर्च का अपना तरीका अपनाना पड़ेगा. Research transforms you from a student to scholar. अभी तक जब तक आप पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन की डिग्री ले रहे थे, आप एक स्टूडेंट. Now you are transforming into a scholar. And a scholar is one who is the most knowledgeable person in his subject or her subject. So you become a scholar. And that is why we call them research scholars. And a scholar is a big term for that. So if you are not having enough knowledge in the subject in which you are pursuing your PhD, then you are not supposed to be called as a research scholar. The full form of PhD is Doctor of Philosophy, सबको पता है. And why we call it the holder of this degree is an authority in full command. जब आपके पास वो डिग्री है, इसका मतलब है कि आप विषय के पूर्ण ज्ञाता हैं. Right up to the boundaries of the current knowledge. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो आज से 10 साल पहले क्या ज्ञान था उस विषय में तब तक जानते, आज तक क्या हुआ है आपके विषय में तब तक आपको ज्ञान होना चाहिए. And able to extend them, और आप उस ज्ञान को आगे बढ़ा सकते हो, वो डॉक्टर ऑफ फिलॉसफी है. The holder of this degree is an independent thinker. आप खुद अपना विचार अपना रखते हैं. Who develops his or her own philosophical views on the subject of research. PhD करने के बाद आप खुद अपना विचार व्यक्त करने की स्थिति में होने चाहिए. Then the real meaning of Doctor of Philosophy will be successful for you. Pursue your scientific ideas for the sake of science, not for credit, award, appreciation and application. आप जो भी रिसर्च करें अपने मन की संतुष्टि के लिए करें, अपनी जिज्ञासा को शांत करने के लिए करें, न कि आप PhD डिग्री हासिल करने के लिए करें. Now, when you have identified a research topic in the light of what we have suggested in last few slides, there is another important aspect for you to develop an appropriate aptitude for research. A research student is totally transformed personality while doing a research. When you are a student at the undergraduate level, you are a student at the postgraduate level, your aptitude towards education, for learning, for teaching, everything is totally different. But when you join research for PhD, your aptitude has to change. And the research aptitude during your PhD will transform you altogether, and that is why I said that from your studentship you become a scholar. A good researcher will have 3 C's. He or she will have curiosity to investigate and question available situations. एक अच्छा रिसर्चर, एक अच्छा शोधकर्ता हमेशा क्यूरियस होगा टू नो अबाउट द थिंग्स हैपनिंग अराउंड, और उसमें क्वेश्चंस जनरेट करेगा कि ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है. देन he or she will have critical thinking to refine curiosity into clearly stated ideas. यानी अगर आपने ऑब्जर्वेशन प्रॉपर की है, you are curious enough to know certain things around you, then you will have a proper idea to pursue your PhD or a research. And you should have courage to have bad or unusual ideas. यहां पर मैं आपको ये स्पष्ट कर देना चाहता हूं कि दुनिया में भी जितनी भी बड़ी डिस्कवरीज हुई हैं, and especially I am talking about science, they were all bad ideas. They were all foolish ideas. They were all foolish questions. And that led to good discoveries. I give you only one example here, and I will be taking 2 minutes time to describe one very important story. Antony von Leeuwenhoek, you must have heard the name of a great microbiologist of the world. He was the first person to have discovered microscope, bacteria and microbiology as a branch. Antony von Leeuwenhoek thought कि जब मैं काली मिर्च खाता हूं तो मेरे मुंह में चटकारा लगता है, उसका कारण है कि मेरे काली मिर्च में से कोई जानवर निकल करके मेरी जीभ को काटता है. Very foolish idea. He took certain black pepper, put in water, and tried to see with the lens that he was using, because he was a cloth merchant. वो कपड़े का व्यापारी था, उसके पास लेंस था कपड़े की क्वालिटी नापने के लिए. उसने देखा कि यहाँ कुछ जानवर चल रहे हैं. उसने अपनी डायरी में लिखा कि yes, there are certain animals which are biting my tongue. लेकिन वो लॉजिकल था, उसका दिमाग था, he was a great thinker. उसने कहा कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं है कि वो जानवर जो है पानी में ही थे और काली मिर्च में नहीं थे. तो उसने क्या किया कि अलग से पानी लिया, उसको देखा तो उसमें भी वही जानवर दिखे. तो उसने अपना पुराना नोट्स चेंज किए. उसने कहा नो, काली मिर्च में जानवर नहीं होते, जानवर तो पानी में होते. फिर उसको ये लगा कि क्या ये पानी में, इसी पानी में होते हैं कि सभी पानी में होते. तो उन्होंने सारी दुनिया के पानी इकट्ठी की आसपास की जब एक जगह थी और सब में वो जानवर मिले. तो उन्होंने कहा नहीं, ये जानवर सब जगह मिलते. And he wrote several letters to Royal Society of London describing all the discoveries that he made. He did not know that he was going to discover bacteria. उन्होंने उसका नाम दिया एनिमल क्यूज. एनिमल क्यूज इसलिए दिया कि वो एनिमल लाइक है, क्योंकि मूवमेंट करते हैं और छोटे छोटे मॉलिक्यूल्स हैं, इसलिए उसका नाम दिया एनिमल क्यूज. एंड प्लीज रिमेंबर that ultimately when he wrote his last letter, he wrote 250 letters to Royal Society of London, और उन्होंने फाड़ करके उसकी सारी चिट्ठियां फेंकी डस्टबिन. ये कोई सिर्फ फिरा है जो इस तरह की बात करता है. उस समय माइक्रोबायोलॉजी कोई नहीं जानता था, उस समय माइक्रोब कोई नहीं जानता था, बैक्टीरिया के बारे में कोई नहीं जानता था. तो उसका जो प्रेसिडेंट था उसको एक बार ये लगा कि ये आदमी रोज रोज चिट्ठियां लिख रहा है, उसको यहाँ बुलाओ. So he was called there and he was asked to demonstrate what he wanted to say. और उसने अपने माइक्रोस्कोप जो उसने बनाए थे अपने हाथ से घिस घिस करके लेंस को, उसने ले जा करके लोगों को दिखाया. तो वहां जाकर के टेबल पे गया और प्रेसिडेंट ने सब लोगों को बुला रखा था, सारे मेंबर्स थे. तो उन्होंने कहा कि ये जितनी भी लेडीज बैठी हुई है यहाँ पे, इनके मुंह में से कुछ निकालो, इनके यहाँ ये जानवर है जो मैं कह रहा हूँ. तो लेडीज सब घबराई, ये कौन बेवकूफ बात कर रहा, मेरे मुंह में कौन से जानवर होंगे. एंड ही टुक सर्टेन सैंपल्स फ्रॉम द माउथ. There were bacteria, and those bacteria were named as animalcules and later on identified as bacteria. तो उस आदमी ने 3 नई डिस्कवरी की, बैक्टीरिया, माइक्रोबायोलॉजी और माइक्रोस्कोप. उस आदमी ने 400 माइक्रोस्कोप बनाए. He made 400 माइक्रोस्कोप्स. और आज भी नेचुरल हिस्ट्री म्यूजियम लंदन के अंदर उसके 12 माइक्रोस्कोप पड़े हैं जिसमें आज भी आप चाहें तो बैक्टीरिया देख सकते हैं। सो व्हाट आई वांट टू से दैट इफ यू हैव क्यूरियोसिटी, you have the logic, if you have the rational of thinking, even if your idea is a bad idea, if a question is a foolish question, you try to pursue that. Maybe it is different from others and that may lead to a great discovery. So here I am quoting what the suggestion given by a Nobel laureate, how to become a successful researcher. He was Tasuko Honjo from Japan, who was Nobel laureate in physiology and medicine 2018. And you know that he was responsible for identification of PCD, programmed cell death. आदमी मरना नहीं चाहता है और ये मरता क्यों है, एजिंग के ऊपर उसने जो रिसर्च की, जिसपे अब ये चल रहा है कि ह्यूमन बीइंग विल नॉट डाई एट वन पर्टिकुलर टाइम, क्योंकि मरने का कारण क्या है, और मरने का कारण जो है टेलोमरेज एंजाइम है जो क्रोमोसोम के टेलोमियर्स में मिलता है। टेलोमियर जो है रिड्यूस होता जाता है एंड देन अल्टीमेटली पर्सन विल डाई। एंड ही डिस्कवर्ड दैट व्हाट इज द फैक्टर ऑफ एजिंग, एंड इफ वी कैन रिवर्स दिस प्रोसेस then aging will become under your control and you may survive for a very, very long period of time. Now what he said, you should have the curiosity because you have to solve a new problem. You have to have courage because the problem is difficult. That is why it is unknown. You have a challenge because you need to take up the challenge. You have to have the courage. You need to concentrate, and there should be continuity in your efforts, and you must have enough confidence so that you can accomplish the task. So a researcher has to have the fire for learning, experimental skills, analytical mind, power of reasoning, knowing from the root, meticulous planning, faithful data recording, and time sharing between planning and design of experiment. These are some of the factors that you have to consider. There are 5 important components of our human body. Human body is made of Agni, Vayu, Akash, Prithvi and Jal, Pancha Tattva. And for a researcher also we have 5 elements. The thinking, reading, speaking, writing and interaction. So a good researcher has to have 5 different components of learning. आप अच्छे चिंतक होने चाहिए, आप अच्छे पाठक होने चाहिए, आप अच्छे वक्ता होने चाहिए, आपको लिखने की कला आनी चाहिए और आप ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों से इंटरेक्शन करें ताकि आप ज़्यादा चीज़ें सीख सकें. So these are the key components: thinking, reading, writing, speaking and interaction. Reading brings in new ideas. जब आप पढ़ते हैं तो नए आइडियाज आते हैं. So spend time for reading, library consultation and update your subject knowledge. Reading makes a full person, conference a ready person and writing an exact person. So if you are able to write good, then you are conveying in the better way. Quite often a researcher is the only person who has anything new to say and who does not know how to say. ये भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. आपके पास बहुत सारा रिसर्च किया हुआ है, आपने बहुत अच्छी नई फाइंडिंग्स की है, आप बहुत कुछ बातें कहना चाहते हैं लेकिन आप कह नहीं पाते हैं. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो हाउ टू डू दैट? राइटिंग इंप्रूव्स द एबिलिटी टू एक्सप्रेस. डेवलप हैबिट ऑफ राइटिंग रेगुलरली. राइट एटलीस्ट 2 आर्टिकल्स अ ईयर. राइट ए रिसर्च प्रपोजल और प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट. लर्न एडिटिंग स्किल्स एंड लर्न बिब्लियोग्राफी प्रिपरेशन. इफ द रीडर इज टू ग्रास्प what writer means, the writer must understand what reader needs. आपको जब आप लिखते हैं तो आप ये सोच के लिखें कि जो पढ़ने वाला है उसको मेरी बात समझ में आ रही है कि नहीं आ रही. So you have to learn the art of writing the way the reader will be able to understand. Speech is a strong communication vehicle, so you have to attend conferences, symposia, make poster and oral presentations and deliver lectures so that you learn how to speak. Interaction is an opportunity to learn, keep in touch with subject experts, discuss academic matters frequently, visit other organizations and institutions, very important, because if you are not visiting other organizations, you will not know what others are doing in your field and how better you can improve your quality of research. So knowledge without skill is body without bones. So learn to use statistical tools and software, master the skill of operating equipment that you will use, and learn to design experiments. So love research as a profession and feel proud of it. If you do not love your own music, who else will do it? लता मंगेशकर अगर अपने गाने को खुद ही पसंद ना करे तो हम क्यों पसंद करेंगे? So if you are doing research, love your subject, love your topic, love the kind of research that you are doing, then you will be able to appreciate and the people will appreciate your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. For research-oriented speech, we will definitely benefit from it.